And it's a showtime. We are live. It's Yuri, the VP of Sales and Partnerships with iSpeed to Lead. And I'm very excited to have you today again at our live. We are talking again about Subto. Today we have a very cool and important guest who has over almost like 20 years of experience in investing. He managed the massive portfolio, and he also teaches lots of his students how not to do it one way, but how to find the way that will fit your style the most. So again, we'll wait for a couple of minutes for Gene and TJ to join, plus for everyone to join too. Again, it's iSpeed to Lead. We are live. We're excited to see you. We are trying to do these things weekly. And today, we of course, we're also going to talk about leads. I know some of you just visited one of our webinars too. So make sure that you subscribe to our channel if you're watching this first time. And we're excited to have you all. And we are excited to talk about the creative finance, the risks of Subto today and how you can avoid that. So and it's a huge opportunity to talk today also about our platform and how we generally support Subto community. As you probably know, as you check some of our previous streams, we had a pretty good success of people coming in and taking leads and supporting the homeowners with the creative finance deals, which is a pretty common thing too. And the advantages that iSpeed provides you, you probably, as you guys saw, that we have actually the marketplace. So in the marketplace, you can select leads. So when you guys can select leads, you can target what you think would fit you best, and you can take advantage of that. So, and we are going to talk a little bit later how you can really select those leads that might fit you better, how you can get them affordably too. But again, the biggest thing today is education. So that's why we're bringing guests. We're trying to bring guests all the time, to bring some value to you guys. So if you just join, guys, drop a comment like, where are you from? Are you a freaking subscriber? You just joined us. And if you have any questions about Subto creative deals, feel free to drop them. We are going to talk about them too. So we'll be really glad to get any interaction, any questions, and we are going to make sure that we cover all your questions. So, and also, guys, if you have any potential guests that you would like us to bring, so we can talk about either even the services they can add from the perspective of value, or they can maybe talk about some specific topics related to what they are best at, we'll be glad to bring them. So just keep in mind that it's common, and we are bringing guests all the time. And by the way, if you are not familiar, guys, we also have Gene next week visiting Phoenix. So if you're in Phoenix and you want to meet with Gene potentially and do something together, like have a discussion, interview, or anything like that, feel free to text my phone number 254-279-6742. This is my direct phone number. He is going to be with Steven Trank, spoiler alert, and being on sales disruptors and talking, how iSpeed to Lead basically is disrupting the industry of real estate wholesaling, even the way how it's always changing and gets more even challenging. So, and again, if you have any questions, any interactions you want to do, guys, let us know too. And we will have Gene and TJ joining us shortly. And I see Gene joining us live, and I'll wait for him to add himself into the stage, and we'll soon also add TJ, who will be able to join and talk about massive risks that are in creative finance, in Subto deals. And we got Gene here. Nice to see you, man.
Hey, what's going on, everybody? How's it going? Good to see
We're
you,
doing
Yuri.
great. Yep, I already told to everybody that you'll be in Phoenix next week. So, and so anyone who wants to,
Phoenix and then Miami. Miami, maybe Monday, maybe Friday.
okay, are you going to Dallas as well?
No, we're gonna do that virtual.
Okay. So we are on the run. So, and we get Cash Waller. What's up, Cash? Thank you for joining. And Florida is in the chat. That's amazing.
All right, so I'm excited today because so TJ is somebody that's that I know has got their own opinion on things, and I respect that a lot, and I think there's not enough of that in the industry because a lot of people just want to go with the same in line, just want to be in line with what the big influencers say, and I think there could not be more. Couldn't be anything better than healthy argument, healthy contrarian points, right? There's no right way of doing it. The truth only comes out in argument. Okay, so that's why I always look for people that can challenge the status quo, that can challenge what we know, that can challenge what our customers know, and of course, give our customers more information, give our customers more value, give our customers other ways of doing things, and reduce risk, right? So today's going to be all about reducing risk with Subto, because hell, there's a lot of risk in Subto. Like, if you ask me, I probably wouldn't do it. I probably wouldn't do Subto anything, okay, personally. But that might be just because I don't have the right information, right? I think there's too many risks. But some people are doing it. Many people are crushing it. Many of our friends are crushing it. So definitely can be done. All right. So how's the week going? How's the week at Speed to Lead? What do we got going on for people? What do we got for what cool products can people get?
Lots of them. So we just had a webinar talking about. I actually, you know what I talked about today is the difference between prospects and leads. So that's some people were talking about that you can get lists somewhere in some platforms, and we got TJ. So
Switcher board. How are you guys doing?
We are doing great. Good. Thank you for joining.
Gene, Yuri, it's a pleasure to be on. So, what do you guys want to talk about? Subto, I guess, huh?
Yeah, but are you using the correct microphone? Because we hear you like you're very far.
Tell them 2 seconds. I will.
2 seconds.
Yeah, whoever is saying 2 seconds, we can hear him very clearly.
Is that better?
Oh, much better.
Yes, it does.
Okay. Sorry.
So yeah, I gave a little bit introduction on you, but probably I didn't. No, I know I did well. And can you please tell us about yourself and a little bit why people should listen to you? So I think there is enough of that, but yeah, if you can tell us a little bit about yourself, we'd appreciate that.
No, I appreciate it. So right now, now for the past 10 years, I've lived in Dallas. We were actually started out in PPC probably about 5 or 6 years ago. So it's a huge inbound lead source for us. We love it. So we love programs like y'all's too. I've been in real estate since 2006. So my first deal was actually 112 apartment units. And my second deal was 98. So that was exciting. The only problem in 2006 was 2008 was like right around the corner. So 2008 probably about 2010, 11 was a lot of fun. If for anyone that was in the market back then. That's the short version of the story. Right now, we operate again in Dallas, Texas. We do deals all throughout North Texas. We've done some virtual outside the state too. We're probably not the best at it, but we have I would say on the acquisition side, we have a more or less conventional looking team where we prefer inbound leads from PPC and mailers. We've never been great at texting and cold calling, but our core kind of competency is, especially in our local markets, is really differentiating what we're able to do with a lead once we get it in. So, for example, on the Subto side, we actually sold a deal last, I think it was January or something like that, where we didn't really think it was a deal, but we were honest with the seller and told the seller, hey, we'll give it a shot, see what we can do. We found a Subto buyer and sold something for a little above 100% of actual ARV because it needed no repairs, because we found a buyer that liked the area that the property was in for a rental. And then we vetted the buyer. That's a big thing that we do even with our Subto deals, is we vetted the buyer and made sure, hey, if something goes sideways or something goes wrong on the Subto, you have the capacity to make it right and pay it off if the lender has an issue with it. So that's a long way of saying, I guess, we really try to marry an exit strategy with a property when we get a deal. It keeps our average deal cost lower than a lot of our competition. And then big part on just buying better is we like our local markets the best because we like still doing face-to-face interactions with sellers. We think that we're able to basically explain our value better to the seller in those respects and just buy deeper. So we'll often come against our competition that's either virtual or sometimes even local. And I think our record is, I think we beat one of our competitors by $60,000 lower than their offer. So I don't know a lot of guys that do that. That's we like doing that. So anyone that says, it's all about the dollars, definitely not all about the dollars. It's definitely about, okay, what's the actual core underlying issue that the seller has? So generally, I like to say that in our business, since we are a direct to seller on, I think it's probably 75 to 80% of our deals, our real value is in understanding that the seller's general circumstances aren't in their financial issues. They're not a financial hardship. It's generally an emotional hardship that might be aggravated by financial hardships. So we try to find out, okay, what's the actual what's the issue that the seller's dealing with? And then how are we able to really help them resolve that issue the best way, where it's going to have a beneficial outcome for the seller and a beneficial outcome for us as a company? Obviously, and we're very straightforward, we have to make money, otherwise we're out of business. And as the market changes, diversifying exit strategies and being able to actually show real value to sellers is where we stay very competitive. We have a full board right now, 32 active deals in some respect or another. We're not actually flipping much at this time. We have a couple flips that are taking a little bit to sell. So that's always frustrating when that happens, when the market adjusts. But that's what's our average turnover on that? I'm not sure how many. It depends on the month.
So
We'll sell a bunch.
Those 32, where are they going? You're assigning those? Are you keeping them to cash flow? Or are you flipping them? Where does that usually go?
Yeah, all the above right now. So right now we're actually, I would say 2 years ago, we were 75% in either wholesale or retail. So either wholesale or flipping, and then mixing in some wholesale, mixing in some other creative stuff, rentals, whatever. Right now, for the most part, they're assignments. We do some seller financing, so we'll provide financing for an end buyer once in a while. The property has to fit the right criteria, and the borrowers have to fit the right criteria, but that's a good one. We have a couple of those going right now. I think there's 5 of those on the board of this right now. Wholesale's probably 50% right now. And then the rest of it's something creative, something different, some novations. We find those work well for a certain seller profile. The buyer profile is not as important for us on novations, obviously. Some Subto, we've done definitely a handful of those. And we're doing more than we have probably 2 years ago. So that's good. And then what's the rest of it? Just random other stuff. If we get a screaming deal, we'll pick up a flip and we'll flip it. We're not really looking at rentals right now. That's actually one of the dangers, I think, in Sub-2s, is the same dangers that are inherent in having rentals in a increasing interest rate environment, increasing price environment, and an increasing, at least in Texas where we're at, where property taxes and insurance, a lot of those have gone up significantly in the past 3 or 4 years. So where the equity increase has been awesome for us for rentals that we've had, property tax and insurance are always lagging. So when those expenses catch up, now the cash flow is not as much fun as it was maybe a couple of years ago. And again, that's one of the issues, obviously, with selling a Sub-2 is a lot of times it's used as a kind of an introductory strategy. You can get into it with no money. It's awesome. Our cheapest Sub-2 we bought for $1,500. It's in our rental portfolio. We love it. That's cool. The seller literally walked with $1,500. But the problem with that is, if your expense ratio goes upside down, there needs to be another secondary exit strategy, like an equity buffer where you can sell it. Not a point in refinancing if rates are higher now than they are when you get the Sub-2 going. So refinancing, not as much of an option. Whatever. Yeah, your turn. Go for it.
Yeah. So let's break down. So for the folks that are and while we have so many freaking notifications here today that our notification about the live video hasn't even gone out to people yet. So we're gonna get some more people in. But as people are tuning in, so let's break down. Even for somebody that's only wholesale or maybe only JV'd or whatever, they've never done Sub-2. So the expense ratio going upside down. Can we break that down? Like how and why that might happen, and why is that a bad thing? Because I think that's some of those basics are not even, I think a lot of people are intimidated when they jump into Subto and they're like, shit, wholesaling was easy. Listing is kind of hard, right?
I would say wholesaling is simplistic. I wouldn't call it easy. It's a lot of damn work.
That's what I mean, yeah.
But no, yeah, absolutely. So what we've seen for the past 2 years, right, with 3 years really, with post-COVID, is just rapid acceleration in pricing. And, that's awesome. And we're seeing it across the board. We saw it with multifamily. We saw it obviously with single family. We really didn't see it, I suppose, with office space. That's not really our space at all anyway. But, when prices go up, what's a lagging effect on pricing is, well, rents are going to go up in correspondence with price. Hopefully, at least they did with COVID. That was awesome. At least for landlords, that was cool. So we're seeing more and more spread on the rent. We like that. But the problem is in states that have variable property tax for rental properties, which is most of them as far as I know, if values go up 40%, property taxes are probably going to go up 30 to 40% as well. And that's going to lag by a year to 2 years, depending on when it finally kind of catches up to it. So what we've seen in Texas is exactly that. I have rental properties in California too. There's Prop 13 is one of my only favorite things of that state, is where they lock in the property tax basis at the lower rate. So in some respects, it's actually more stable as long as you can cash flow well. And California's got a lot of other structural issues, obviously, with the rentals. But for us in Texas also, we've seen insurance with hailstorms, with even Houston, however many years ago it was, 4 or 5 years ago when they were all underwater, insurance has just gone up quite a bit. So between those two things, those are stuff that's outside of the landlord's control, really, in terms of expenses. Now we can manage our risk with ACs going out, roofs going out, leaky faucets, that kind of stuff. But it's a lot harder to really manage your risk when you see rapid appreciation and then rapid increases in expenses that are outside of our control. I'll give one example on a more conventional loan, if I could, not even a Subto. That's just, we love rentals. Don't get me wrong. I've had a bunch of rentals. We have a bunch of rentals. But we have one that's a great deal. Bought it for $120,000. It's currently worth $360,000. That's a smoking deal. We bought it on a hard money loan, and then we refinanced it. We capitalized at about $50,000. So let's call it all in for $170,000. We refinanced it then at that 170 basis. Basically, just got all of our money back out again. That was awesome. Love doing that. So we burned it. We refinanced it conventionally in the bottom of the interest rate market. So the loan is currently, I think, it's a 30-year fixed at a conventional loan, 3.5%, maybe 4%. I don't remember. PITI all in $1,600. That's awesome. Who doesn't love that? Rent is $2,200. I'm a freaking genius. We're crushing it. We're making whatever that is, $600. Thank you for the math. Tommy, was that you or is that them? Okay, good. Ops guys got it. Yeah, I'm not great at math. Anyway, so we're crushing it. We're making $600 a month. So what happens? Well, we bought it pre-COVID, so it's been rented for a while, so we're making money. COVID goes out. We have the rapid appreciation. I just said it wasn't worth 170. It wasn't worth 360 when I refinanced it. It was probably worth about 250. That was pretty conservative. So the loan to value at 170 to 360 is roughly 60%, right? More or less. So it's not like we were reckless even when we refinanced it. We're just like, let's get our cash back out. Let's have a good solid interest rate, whatever. Taxes and insurance drives our cost from PITI being $1,600. It drives it up $450. So now our PITI is whatever that is, basically $2,100 more or less, $22,050, somewhere in there. I just said it's rented for $2,200. So at $1,600 PITI, we're crushing it. At $2,100 more or less PITI, cash flowing. I think we're cash flowing $150. So whatever it is, the numbers are rough. We're scratching our head going, well, we got a shit ton of equity in this house. I don't want to sit around for $150 a month. There's no value to that for me. Let's sell it. So that's great because we bought right and we rehabbed right and we did the right thing on that house. The problem is if you do Subto and you have an interest rate that's respectable, you think you're crushing it for $400, $500 a month. If your outside of your control expenses go up, then unless you have an equity buffer, unless there's a secondary exit strategy on this property, then you're upside down on your cash flow. Now, is that good or bad? Personally, I think it's bad. Deductions are great, but you got to have income to offset your deductions. I don't like deductions. I don't know why people are like, oh man, I got a deduction for that. Like, okay, that's cool. I can get a ton of deductions just by losing money. I don't want to do that. I like making money. So that's the biggest risk I see with Subtos, more so than a lot of the other, there's a lot of other ancillary risks. There's a lot of investor risk. There's a lot of things in the marketplace that people are doing that are just fundamentally not good business. But yeah, no, Ed Chambers is absolutely right. Interrupt me anytime because I'll just keep going forever. Anyway, so those are the biggest problems that I see with Subto, in my opinion.
Man, so I want to get in there. I want to dig in there. You said there's some bad business practices. I think
I don't want to pick on those guys.
we don't have to name any names, but we got to get in there because we.
Yeah, I don't have my hat on. I'm sorry.
We got to see. We got to hear what that's about. That's what I'm. I think it's interesting because you'll go and you'll jump inside of a community. And everyone's like, hoorah, this and that, great job, nice work. Then you jump on Reddit and you read about the same communities or the same practices, and you're like, whoa, this is a whole nother story. This is like
I got to do that. I haven't been on Reddit yet. I mean, I'm on Reddit, but I haven't. Oh, that's a good idea. That's a great idea.
What do you think is some of the craziest or the crazier stuff that's being done right now that you are like, makes your blood boil, kind of? I don't know if you're type of guy that that makes your blood boil, but you know what I'm saying. Like, what's the type of thing that you want to like slap someone across their head if they're new and they're trying to do it, or they're doing, or maybe they're not new but they're doing it. We want to know what's in TJ's what's in TJ's like not to do book.
So when I was sitting down with our litigation attorney, because we're suing someone, we're going over a bunch of introductory questions and all this other stuff. And my business partners are Italian, and they fit some of the stereotypes about being a little emotional and loud. And I'm sitting there just like giving pretty straightforward responses and stuff. And the attorney says something. He's an old school dude, so he calls it the way he says it, or calls it the way he sees it. And he says, yeah, you two I can figure out, but this like TJ over here, I'm not even sure he has a pulse. So so I don't get too riled up as much as I used to maybe in my younger days. I think what we see a lot of the times, and we just had a case study actually on our Facebook page, not to plug that or anything at all, but we just talked about an exact case study that was a horrible situation that basically everything that could go wrong went wrong on the deal. And the problem is not even those communities or the people that are running them, not inherently necessarily wrong, but when people that don't have an invested interest in the outcome of the transaction insert themselves into a transaction and basically mess things up with someone else's money, then things go sideways and things turn into lawsuits and things turn into a lot of headaches. Not, again, this lawsuit I was talking about is something completely different. This isn't us. But for example, what we've seen is we've seen people that are Subto people, which is fine. They like to do a lot of Subtos. Again, don't have a problem with that. We've done a lot also, but they just buy bad deals. So they don't have the numbers right with their ARVs. Okay, I mean, we all do that once in a while, but don't make it a business practice. But what they can then do is the sales pitch is, well, let's find an investor to pay off the seller a little bit, give them a little bit the entry fee or whatever it is. Maybe the person orchestrating the deal takes a piece of that entry fee or doesn't, and that's fine. Like, again, we assign a lot of deals, so I don't have a problem with people making money on an assignment, even on a Subto assignment. But if they're structuring a bad deal, then they can really mess it up. And what I mean by that is we've seen deals, for example, where an investor with money, inexperienced, unknowledgeable, and dumb, basically says, hey, to get someone from the Subto business mindset, comes out there and, hey, I got this deal, it's worth $300K. We can get in at $250. We can pay off the deficiency of $25,000, and then we can sell it for $300. And this is someone, again, in these communities that does this type of stuff. The investor, again, I'm not defending them at all because they're dumb for doing this kind of deal. They need to independently verify everything when they're buying something. But they're, okay, no problem. You know what? We can give you money. Let's get it going. It turns out the property is only worth about $250. Turns out it needs about $50K worth of work. And again, unless the person bringing the deal is actually, in my opinion, financially invested in some respect in the deal, they don't take care of the issue. So now this particular situation has a guy in the house that the seller never moved out of the house. They've been there the seller's been there for 6 months. The investor that's a partner on the Subto transaction is basically out the entry fee, is out the paying back the deficiency, and then is stuck with his house where he now has to evict the seller. He's in a partnership situation where they're both jointly on title. And this is taught all over the place. Put yourself on title with the investor to bypass the SEC regulations. I mean, yeah, I guess so. Or just form a new LLC and put both of you as members of the LLC. That's actually a cleaner way of doing it. But you can both be on title. So now we have a muddy title, even currently. So now, if I want to take over, I got to evict the seller. Not me. This guy would have to evict the seller. He'd have to basically strong arm the other joint owner on the property to get them to sign off if they even want to sell it. In addition to it being a bad deal to begin with, where basically they're all in at ARV. So it's just a bad transaction all over the place. But this kind of stuff is actually taught as like a great way to get in on deals. So it's not so much that there's bad stuff from the business perspective of Subto deals. It's that what people are taking with a limited bit of knowledge. What is it they like to say? A little bit of knowledge is a dangerous thing. So we're seeing people with very limited knowledge, limited understanding of the risks of transactions, saying that, okay, we can go raise a bunch of money that we're now not responsible for because we're not invested in it. We can mess up a deal in a lot of different ways. And then we can insert ourselves in a deal that doesn't make any sense to begin with because we have to do a deal. Like that's what every new investor thinks and understands. Oh, I have to do a deal because if I do a deal, it's going to change my life. Well, I mean, it can change your life. It can really screw it up too. So it can change it for the negative. And let's
talk a little bit about that. How can it negatively affect them? Like what's some of the bad shit that can happen to somebody when they're doing like some shady stuff like that? What are some of the bad outcomes? Because I think those are important for people to understand.
Yeah, I think one bad outcome of the partnership thing is, again, more of the bad business practice than the bad Subto. There's all the inherent risks of Subto in general, like due on sale, which does it tick up when interest rates are higher than loans? I don't know. We'll see how the market kind of shakes that one out, I think. But I think it's more just a bad business environment. If you're assigning a Subto, then there's probably not as much risk as for the assigner as there is for the person getting the contract. But if you're partnering up with someone else that has money for the gap to pay off a deficiency and then maybe make some money and then work out a deal and try to sell it down the road, well, now you're in a partnership situation. So for me, I'm really selective with who I'm partners with. In fact, this is about the only time in this business my wife and I are partnered up with two friends of ours, and we knew them for several years before we decided to partner up on a deal. And then we started partnering up with a couple deals, and then we decided, this is actually working pretty good. Let's partner up in business. But unless I know someone's motivation and their track record, I don't like partnering with people on a transactional basis unless there's really clear-cut responsibilities and obligations and an outcome on like a transactional thing. So unless you have those really stated out and who's going to do what's going to happen, then the guy with the money is usually the one that's like, well, they just want to be passive. That's fine. It's fine until it doesn't work out. And when it doesn't work out is when you create a muddy deal because someone that thinks they're educated puts someone in a bad deal. And then what's the guy with money supposed to do? Well, if he has more money, he can sue the other guy for screwing it up. But let's be honest, no one wins in a lawsuit except for the attorney. So what are the options? The options are kind of limited, really.
Yeah. Okay. And what about you guys? So let's talk a little bit about REI as fuck. Is that how you say that? Is that
it's actually a marketing thing. It's actually acquisitions funnel. Yeah, it's a
acquisitions funnel. Okay,
acquisitions funnel. I don't know what it is.
I know you meant me. You wanted me to think that. You wanted anyone to read that to think that, and I did. Let's talk about you guys. How do you guys operate in terms of getting people information? Because I mean, just from talking to you, like you guys have a whole different mindset about these things, and I know from the size of your experience that you know a lot of the stuff that maybe other coaches know, but they'd rather get people the easy the whatever route that's more convenient for them. How does REI AF work, and like how do you guys operate? What do you guys provide for the wholesaling community?
Yeah, we don't. It's really easy to. No offense to our competition, it's really easy to sell hey, get your first wholesale deal. Hey, get your first Subto deal. And there's a lot of value to that for the new investor. We don't see ourselves much value in that personally, because we don't go after the new investor as an education thing, or because we don't have a lot to add to a new investor. I'm not going to go. I don't know how to door knock, right? I don't know how to go find my first deal. I haven't found my first deal for 16 years. So really what we do is we take more established businesses that are maybe mom and pop, maybe very, very small, and we show them how to optimize their business by first just buying better. By, again, you don't beat your competition by 60K by not having better conversations with sellers, by providing more value to sellers. And then we diversify their exit strategy, because we'll find people that maybe they like to flip, or maybe they like to just wholesale. Say, hey, if you take the right deal, let's look at it from this perspective, and you can probably make more money here, because velocity is very important to us. But so is gross profit margin. So we'll look at a deal like, hey, yeah, you can wholesale it for 10K, but if you do an ovation on this specific deal because of this profile, because of this seller, because of this neighborhood, then maybe you can make 30 or 40 or 50K. So that's where we really try to help people build their business. We go over all the math, because I don't know any wholesale coach that really takes out fixed operating costs from their 100K wholesale fees that like posting all over the internet. Those are awesome when they come in, but how much of that's to your acquisitions commission and your sales commission? Oh, I do it all myself. You know what? That's awesome. But now you're not a company. Now you're not scaled. You're a guy. So we try to go through the math. We try to talk to people about like, hey, there's a lot of benefits to having what we have going on in terms of deal diversification, in terms of if you have a fat deal that goes sideways, it doesn't take down your entire quarter. So there's a lot of benefits to that, but there's also a lot of disadvantages to the added logistics and added operational drag of having people working for you. Just including like you need to make sure you can feed them. If you don't have enough lead flow, if you don't have enough deals coming in, I like to say in our business, the acquisitions team isn't the revenue generating aspect of the company. They're the net that captures the revenue. The revenue generating aspect of the company is the lead source and the lead frequency and the lead quality. And then the training of the acquisitions is really the quality of the net that captures the opportunity for the deal. And dispo is very important, but dispo is secondary, I think, to those two parts of the business.
Okay. And how is it? How does that operate? Is it in a community mode or like one-on-one mentoring and stuff? What's the
right now we're just doing a small mastermind. It's relatively local oriented, and we're thinking about expanding it. But we're really good at real estate, so we're not putting a lot of effort right now into like really cranking it up. It's a bit of a different business model really than real estate, and we're good at real estate.
Nice. Maybe, yeah, that's cool. I think that's a rare thing when someone's actually doing more business than they're doing than they're coaching sales, which is.
No, I didn't say I was smart. Maybe I ought to do it the other way around.
I mean, maybe you gotta have just get a video guy that follows you around, so they can capture all the stuff, but not distract you from your day-to-day operations. Like that might be the way to do it.
That's probably not a bad idea. Well, we got a YouTube page. It's got some following on it. We went super viral with a hoarder video last year, I think. So that really got us a couple followers. That was fun.
Nice. Yeah, we got viral with one of the calls from Closers Olympics qualifiers. He got like million-something views.
Nice.
I was like, damn. I was like, it was a short too.
Those are the ones that take off.
Yeah, that was pretty sweet. That was cool. Haven't been able to repeat that. I don't know. No. But anyway, so in this climate right now, and in the with the rates, with the prices where they are right now, they're not increasing like they were, but they're still going up. With the rates, with the whole climate right now, what would you say right now is a type of structure that people should be pursuing in your opinion, as far as Subto goes?
As far as Subto goes, I think so. I think we've probably seen the big run up with kind of expenses catching up. So if you find a deal that's cash flowing with today's property taxes, with today's insurance, then I think that's probably a relatively safe buy. I think in general for the market, I think uncertainty is always not good for a marketplace. So a year and a half ago, 2 years ago, we had the uncertainty of rising interest rates and what that would do to the market. So that had we had a little lull and a little dip in the transactional velocity. Right now, we have the uncertainty of the election. We have the uncertainty of 2 rate hikes, or 2 rate decreases, 3 rate decreases, or what's his name that just came out last Thursday, I think, and said he's not counting out having 0 rate decreases this year. Personally, I'm in the 2 camp. I've been in the 2 camp for a long time, but who knows? We'll see what they decide to do. So what does that do? That provides more uncertainty in the marketplace. So how do we compensate for that? I think we compensate for that by either having certainty in our numbers of our current transactions if we're going to keep something long term, which means if it works now under these market conditions, then it's not likely to get much worse. We might see a little softening in prices here and there, but I don't think we're likely to see massive catastrophic increases in expenses. What do we do, and what are we doing in our business? We're focusing on transactional velocity. So we're focusing on deal turnover. We're focusing on maximizing lead sources, and we're focusing on optimizing our dispo. We're able to sell stuff. Shoot, we just bought a church for $10K like a week and a half ago in some random town that I've driven through like twice, and we sold it for $30K. That's awesome. That's cool. That's a wholesale. So we're not focusing on stuff like that, but we're taking those opportunities preferentially over closing on long, complex rehabs. Because what does time do to every deal? Time complicates things because of uncertainty in the marketplace. So what does that mean for a flipper? Well, it means for a flipper, in my opinion, is don't go crazy. Because we've seen a lot of the gurus, no offense to them again, that were doing flips all over the place, all over the country. And if you follow them on Facebook, they're kind of spent a lot of time bitching about how well that didn't go for the past 18 months. And we saw it coming. We've lost money on a couple flips in the past 2 years. It's not fun, but we saw it coming. So we adjusted way early. As soon as they started talking about rate rises, we said, hey, you know what? Let's make sure we don't have a lot of risky inventory sitting around. So that's how we've adjusted. We've adjusted to try to move stuff quickly. So for a flipper, for example, move stuff quickly. Get in, get out, get it sold, know what your ARV comps are, and make sure you're doing well. For a Subto, again, probably relatively safe as long as you don't just have a dirty transaction or a messy transaction that doesn't make any sense.
Now, so deal velocity, so that sounds like one of the KPIs you guys are tracking, right? How do you guys, or how can somebody calculate that in a simple form? Like, is it from when the lead enters the funnel, or like to when you get to when it closes? What's a way to for the newbies that would see this? What's a way to start tracking that? Because I think most people they have some idea of it, but they're probably not tracking it.
So for us, that's a good question. That's a good point. For us, it's what's our exposure once we have the transaction. So for us, it's more about closing on the deal. If we're going to close on something, what's our exposure for once we have it going on? Our average flip is about 6 months historically over the past couple of years. And now, is that bragging or is that like stupid? I don't know, because we'll have flips where we've done it in 2 months. We'll have flips that take a year, just depending on the complexity of the deal. So for us, it's when is our actual risk on this specific transaction? When is our risk there started? Because we always have lead expense. It's variable, but it's almost a fixed operating expense. So there's nothing risky about following up with a lead for 6 months. That's more of a cash conversion cycle, not so much deal exposure, like deal turnover cycle. So cash conversion cycle is, well, when did I spend money on that lead? And then when did I convert that lead to a closed transaction where I profited from it? So that could be 2 years, I suppose. If you get a lead in 2 years ago and it takes a year to close, and then you do a year-long rehab and it sits on the market for 3 months, that's not terribly interesting a metric for us, I don't think. Because what does it do? It discourages the acquisition team from following up with a long-term lead if that's a KPI that matters. Oh, our cash conversion cycle from inbound lead to close transaction is 2 years on that deal. Well, that's going to fuck up all of our KPIs over here. So let's not do the deal, even though it's going to make us $250,000. That's stupid. So it's not. That's not useful for us.
I've made some KPIs like that in the past. I've had some KPIs where it worked just the way I designed it, but then I realized that I designed it stupid. But.
Well, the other KPI is what I don't want to do a 5K wholesale because it's going to drive down my average wholesale fee. I mean, if it's a lot of work and it's a pain in the ass, you probably shouldn't do it. But if it's a quick sign a couple things here and there, I don't care if a 5K wholesale fee drives down our average, from whatever it is to whatever it is. So that's why we don't really we track our average profit. Obviously, we track our average wholesales. But if you sell a deal that makes 100 grand and you sell a deal that makes 5 grand, what's your average wholesale fee? Well, it's 52.50. How's that useful? That's not useful to anyone. So make sure what we do is we try to track the KPIs that are useful for us. How much are we spending on leads? How much are we spending for a conversion on the leads? How much are we spending for a closed transaction? So what's our contract price for a transaction? And then after that, everything else is honestly is what it is.
Okay. Man, you know what's the craziest KPI I've ever heard? We were at this conference I think in Berlin about marketplaces, and this fella used to work, he's from Singapore, or he works in Singapore. He runs one of the real estate marketplaces there, where he's a COO for it. And so Singapore has been like this crazy cool place that really just revitalized in a very short amount of time frame. It's a miracle what they've done with the economy and everything. One of the best countries ever. And a lot of it is attributed to the president or the head there. And so one of his KPIs, it's kind of a KPI, is he every week this guy receives a report about the state of the bathrooms in the Singapore airport. Because crazy. And so and we were like, that's insane. Like, he was like, do you know why? And we were like, well, I guess, maybe because we don't know why. Like, what's the deal? Maybe like that's the easiest place to ignore. Like, if that's bad, then like the rest of everything is even worse. And he goes like, no, it's because that's the first experience that every traveler to Singapore is gonna have. Is they're gonna go to the bathroom from the plane first, and that's gonna be the most important thing. Is that's gonna be the first impression that people will have about Singapore. So that was a crazy.
You know what? I'll judge a bad airport bathroom. That's a good point. I think we all do, right? You walk in one, it's like, oh man, this place is a dump.
Yeah. Even countries. Like I live in Europe. I'm in Boston right now, but I live in Europe full time. And you go from country to country, and I will judge them by the bathroom quality at their rest areas when I'm driving on the highway. Because like you'll be in Italy, and it's kind of like whatever. You go to Germany, and it's paid. You have to pay for it, but it's cleaner or something like that. So anyway,
you gotta pay for the bathroom in Germany.
Yeah, well, at the rest area you do. Yeah.
Oh, okay. I guess that's all right. You know what? I've been to some American rest areas that I would pay $5 to not have to be in. So I get it.
Yeah. So nice. Let's see. I had another question, but it actually escaped me. What's so with the whole regulation stuff right now? Is that affecting you guys at all right now? There's a lot of talk right now in leadership about like the there's some regulations that already came down with wholesaling. Like some states are requiring you to buy a license. Some states are kind of trying to ban it outright, and you have to double close and all that. What do you think is noise that people are just trying to get views on YouTube, and what is actual like risk that should be managed?
Yeah, I think there's always risk with wholesaling if you represent yourself incorrectly anyways. If you represent yourself as a cash buyer and you're legitimately not because you're wholesaling the contract, I think that can be risky just on the surface of it. Now, that being said, I've never actually heard of a case of anyone getting in trouble for that. For us, we're primarily in Texas, and we'll market outside of Texas once in a while when we've done deals in Arkansas, we've done deals in Georgia, we've done deals in Florida. So most of those areas are still relatively friendly to wholesaling. In terms of us in Texas, we're fine, at least for a while. The current regulations are disclosing that we're wholesaling. Well, we've been doing that for years anyway. The licensing requirement, I don't think it impacts us that much. If it does, we'll make our people get licensed. My wife's a broker, so we can keep stuff in-house. I was a broker in California before I moved out here a decade ago, so it's paperwork. Our barriers to entry good. I'm not sure. They're probably good for the consumer, probably good for the seller. I think the bigger risk is that the average politician doesn't understand the actual value of real estate investors. We don't buy a lot of houses that are livable. Let's be honest. We buy things where the subfloor is shot and the roof is bad and there's trash piled up to here. So it's not like we're depleting inventory from a retail perspective. We're taking something that's fundamentally unlivable and making it very livable. And in the cases when that's not the case, then a lot of times investors like us will put stuff on the market as is, and it'll sell for significantly below ARV. So there's still room for sweat equity for an end buyer if you're wholesaling or novating or whatever. So I think more education in the value that investors bring in terms of liquidity, in terms of cleaning up bad deals. I think that would be good. Unfortunately, there's not really like a real estate investors union that you can join and have a concise message on what the opportunities are and why it's a good thing. So for us, also being cash buyers, being guys that have lenders, we can call people and get 100% financing on something because we've done business with folks for a long time. If it comes down to it, we'll just close on a deal and we'll sell it tomorrow and we'll actually own it for a day. Is that ideal? No, of course not, because we don't want to pay the extra transactional costs. But what is that going to do? That's going to hurt the consumer. It's going to hurt the seller because now we have to buy deeper, even though we're already buying relatively deep. But we're going to have to buy deeper, and it's going to hurt the the end investor or the end buyer too, because it's going to slow down the transactional process. It's going to decrease liquidity in the marketplace. It's going to decrease how many deals are getting done holistically, and the only person that actually gets harmed from it is the retail customer, the retail consumer.
Okay. What's like so? And I like to ask this question. So like, some there's a lot of talk that like wholesaling is unethical and all that stuff, and like a lot of our ads, so many of our ads get these comments that we're trying to steal properties and everything. And I like to ask people that are in the business, like, what's the craziest story that comes to mind, like the most dire situation that a seller was in, where y'all have been able to help them? Because I think the more stories like that we talk about, the more people will start appreciating like what the hell actually happens here. Yeah, there's a steal here and there, although it's usually a person that doesn't really care about money. Like some people don't care about the price. Like some people just don't care about it. You can't always teach them to care, right?
That's a great comment.
What's a story that comes to mind where you're like, man, I feel good about what we do today because like this seller is now so much better off.
Mm-hmm. Let's pick on the competition. Let's pick on a realtor really quick. Where's the ethical situation in a realtor coming in where a property hasn't paid their mortgage for 12 months and the realtor says, hey, let's list this thing. A realtor has one option, unless they understand investing, unless they act, and there's not many that do. They're going to stick it on the MLS and they're going to pray about it. If you're lucky, you're going to get good pictures. If you're unlucky, you're going to get cell phone pictures. So that's fine. Like that's fine if the seller has nothing to lose and they have all the time in the world and in a slower marketplace. We're in a slower. I mean, that's fine in a faster marketplace because the realtor is going to be, from a maximizing the seller's cash perspective, they're probably right. Well, the seller's motivation, again, going back to what I was talking about, generally in a distress situation isn't financial. It's emotional distress. What are emotional distressing situations? Well, inherited houses, all the stuff that we do, right? We know the list that we target. If you're going to cold call, you target absentee landlords that have owned it for more than 10 years and the property is more than 15 years old or something, whatever. Or you target city lien lists if you're going to cold call. All right, that's a good one to target, I suppose. So what's their motivation? Well, their motivation is they have a headache that's a pain in the butt that they don't want to deal with because they're not dealing with it. So that's fine. So what value does an investor bring in that situation? Well, they bring relief of emotional distress. That doesn't mean that they're maximizing what the seller can sell it for. But what's a more actual urgent? There's always a combination of urgency and motivation. Well, what's incredibly urgent? I lose my house on Tuesday because there's a foreclosure. If I'm a realtor, my option is, well, I'm going to list the house and hopefully we get a buyer by Tuesday that can close. I'm sitting here scratching my head going like, that's not going to happen, bro. So no one's picking on the realtor for giving bad advice to the seller saying, hey, you're boned on Tuesday. That's a, for people that don't know what that means, you're fucked by Tuesday. If something doesn't happen to stop this foreclosure. And the ways to stop a foreclosure are, well, sell the property, or get an offer on the property and talk to the attorney to actually postpone the foreclosure a month and kick it out. I suppose there's other ways too, and there's other ways that we've used and whatever, but those are the two easiest ways. A realtor can't do that if they don't know what they're doing. So some realtors that understand short sales maybe can understand how to do that, but it's not going to work unless they actually have the buyer. So when we come in there and we're dealing with, we're not even talking short sale, we're talking just strictly, it's going to lose the house on Tuesday, there's still equity in the house. We're going to have a conversation with the seller. Mr. Seller, I understand you're really, really good at taking care of your problems because you haven't paid your mortgage for 2 years. So I understand you're really on top of things. But this time the bank's serious. You're actually going to lose your house on Tuesday. And by the way, it's Thursday. So do you want 10K, 20K, 50K, 100K, whatever, it doesn't matter from us, Tuesday, or do you want 0K from the bank Wednesday morning? Which one is it? Because now we're actually having a very urgent situation with you where, yeah, you kick the can down the road, and that's good. Maybe you can kick the can down the road another month, but eventually you're not going to be able to. So what's the realtor solution? Stick it on the MLS and pray. What's our solution? Oh, that's easy. It's Thursday. You know what? It turns out that my title company knows the attorney that is doing the foreclosure. She has them on speed dial. We'll close on Monday. How's that sound? Oh, you can do that? Well, a realtor sure as hell can't do that, but we've done it, and we do it relatively frequently. So that's one of the biggest values in terms of what does an investor offer to sellers. What an investor offers is emotional security and emotional relief. It doesn't matter what the circumstance is. We figure out what's the distressing situation, what is causing the seller or this individual stress in the transaction or in the deal or the whatever it is. It's generally outside the deal, really, but it can be deal stress too. And then how do we take care of that stress and help them out by being honest with them about what we can and can't do? Where we see a lot of the reason the regulation is coming in is there's low barriers to entry, so any idiot can do it. And you all got to start somewhere. That's fine. But the problem is, if you don't know how to fix these actual problems, then am I still on? Yeah, it's still on. Oh, the TV just turned off. There it goes. Anyway, if you don't fix the actual problems, then you can just muddle things up. People can lose houses, and unfortunately, there's not an investor. What are the realtor things called? The realtor board, the realtor association to join. So there's no advocacy group for an investor, even though there's a lot of benefit to good investors doing good business. The realtors have theirs.
Why is there still not one like that? Why is there still not any kind of union or any kind of nothing?
I don't know. Because it'd probably be one of these guru assholes, and I don't want to sign up for their thing. I don't want to pay them money. Screw that. Realtors have to.
There's a couple of them that are trying to do it, that have been talking about it. There's even a website. There's even a website that someone's like, but yeah, it's never really happened. I want to write that off to the fact that there's so many people in this business that keep going in and out of the business. Like there's I feel like 70% of wholesalers do it part-time, and they do it this month, and they're like out of business next month, and then I don't know, they're broke or whatever. They go and try to do it a little bit again. It's not like a full-time business, and with any kind of union, you got to pay the fees, you got to pay the dues, and all that stuff. Yeah, I don't know. That's an interesting one, but I keep hearing that would be nice. Nice to exist. Let me ask you this: has a realtor ever, especially you've been a broker, has a realtor in the recent time, right? Has a realtor ever came to you guys and been like, "Hey, this lead right here, I can't do nothing with them. I'm going to screw them up. You take it. Give me a little bit of money if it closes. Here you go." Does that ever happen?
We don't. To me, no. No, I don't think so. We know people that have, though. We don't get a lot of realtor referrals. We don't network with realtors. There's people in our group, one lady specifically, that all she does is network with realtors because they have leads of people that just don't want to hit the MLS for whatever reason. They're embarrassed of the deal or whatever. So can it happen? Does it happen? Absolutely, it does. And it's a great acquisition source. It's low volume. It's difficult to scale. It's very individual networking oriented. So it's not a lead source that we use. We we'll JV with wholesalers, and we'll, that's not a decent piece, but that's a piece of our business. And then we'll refer out, because we list. It's kind of funny because my wife is, again, she's the broker now. I'm not a broker anymore. But she lists all of our properties. So her MLS transaction volume is like amazing. So she gets called by every recruiter out there. Like, hey, I saw how many deals you moved. Do you want to come over and join EXP, Keller Williams, Century 21? And she's like, no, that's all in-house stuff. I only list, and she just says, I list for one client. I'm like, oh, wow, that's pretty lucky. Like, well, not so lucky if it's, if you're your own client, you still have to get the deal. We'll refer out deals that are just listing commissions. If we're going to make 3% on a $300K listing, $9,000, and it's going to be a little, even if it's a little complicated, if it's a slam dunk, we'll do it in house. If it's like a market that we just don't want to screw with, we'll just refer it out and get a referral fee on the deal.
Yeah, got it. What's the best like subject to deal that you've done? Like how much? What should be a benchmark for somebody that's trying to do sub 2, and they're like, all right, well, here's a figure that's realistic, and here's a figure that I should strive for, right? On a sub 2 deal, what's like the top 10%, top tier as far as profitability that somebody can expect to make on a deal, right? As a one-time liquid event, or as an overtime investment.
So for us, if we're gonna keep something sub 2, and we're, again, mentioned we buy better than other folks, so this might not be a good baseline for everyone. But
that's
I want
what
a free
mean.
house.
That's what I mean. Like benchmark, right?
Yeah.
Like here's what to strive for. Yeah, so that's good.
For us, a best deal, I want a free house. I want to pay the seller $1,500. I want to pay him, $2,500, maybe $5,000, and I want a house that I can put very little money into and rent as is, and I want to be able to cash flow it. So an ideal one that's actually realistic, because there's always like ideal, but like ideal that's realistic is if I can get a 50% ROI on my invested money, in a year, then from cash flow. That's probably a pretty good deal.
Mm-hmm.
Tommy, camera just died. There we go. Fixed it. I'm on that one?
Yeah.
Oh, whatever. Oh, no shit. Anyway, so that, for us, that's a pretty good deal. More realistic, you generally have to pay the seller a little bit more money than nothing. Generally, there's some distressing situation where there's back payments or something you got to go fix for the seller. So that's more realistic. And I don't know, what's a good ROI? A good ROI is 25%, 30%. If I'm making 25, 30%, that's probably something that's probably pretty good for someone in the marketplace, I would think. And then just do the math. Like make sure your expenses are factored in. Make sure if there's deferred maintenance on the cost, you're either improving that maintenance or having a reserve fund. And now you're just doing the math on a rental. And that applies, I would think, for a sub 2 seller or someone that's buying a sub 2 from a wholesaler or something like that too. Where that breaks down is if you can sell it, like if you're just assigning the contract, I mean, just sell it. Sell a deal. If you can sell it, I mentioned we sold one for 105% of ARV that didn't make any sense to us, but we're down to move the deal. I don't care. But that's not the best deal ever. And maybe it is for us. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
I think we made like 20K on that thing.
Got it. Nice. TJ, I noticed in one of your pictures you own the best watch in the world, and it's the best watch.
Tudors, huh? You like Tudors?
In the world, because I have this. I own one of the same model.
I love this watch. I got
the Pelagos, right?
That's exactly what it is. This is my daily watch. So that's a great watch.
I have it on the rubber strap. I use the rubber strap.
So I took it camping on the rubber strap. I actually changed out the metal strap for the rubber strap. I took it camping. I'm fucking with a campfire. My hand gets close. I melt the band. Not even kidding. I was so pissed at myself. I kept the band.
I knew where that was going. And the titanium is fine. Like it's nothing else.
Oh no, metal's fine. No, this thing's. I guess they say it scratches a little bit, but I've almost worn this every day for like 5 years, and it looks fine. Yeah. It's an amazing watch. I love it.
I just had it serviced because mine fell down on the ground, and the ring fell off, like the ring.
Yeah, the bezel.
Yeah, and the bezel fell off, and I tried to like put it back on, and I guess it's just like not put back onable. So they had to replace the bezel. But I was dumb. I should have kept the old part. I was dumb and gave the Rolex the new part.
Oh,
the
yeah.
old part with it. I was like,
Right.
and I'm
Keep
and I'm
that-
asking the guy, can I keep the old part? He's like, no. And I'm like, why
Just
the
so you
hell
lost
did I give it to you?
Yeah,
Just
I
so
lost it. Yeah.
Damn it. Yeah, I would have had like a little piece of tutor lying around or whatever.
I love this watch. Like, yeah, that's my favorite watch.
Nice, man.
I've gone diving in it. So I mean, that's something a lot of people don't say. It's a dive watch. I've actually gone diving and surfing in it. That's kind of
And
cool.
that's why I like it, because like I know I don't need the 500 meters. I know that whatever I do in the water, nothing's gonna happen. Like that's all I want to know.
Nah, I go swimming in it. I play golf with it. Like that's pretty indestructible.
Yeah, no, that's awesome. So TJ, what's how can people get in touch? How can people people get your guys' coaching? How can people get you guys to optimize their processes and stuff like that?
Yeah, no, just hit us up anywhere. TJ Kosen is where I'm at on literally everything. So LinkedIn, I have like 1,000 messages on there that I never look at, so don't do that. But Instagram, we bought deals off of Instagram, Facebook, all over that. REI AF is the website, so that's our education stuff. We have some free stuff up there. We have a ton of videos. The YouTube page where we went like viral AF is actually the Sicilian brothers, because that was before we merged with my business partners out there, and now I'm like the redheaded stepchild. My last name's not Sicilian, theirs is, so I'm like the third kid, the third wheel. But we keep everything going, and that's super easy at tjkosen at gmail.com too. So that's easy to find.
Podcast.
Nice.
Oh, we got a podcast? Oh, yeah, wait, shit, we have a podcast. Where's the podcast at?
Everywhere.
Everywhere. The podcast is on everything. Podcast,
Nice.
like I didn't know this until we started doing it. Apparently, if you do a podcast, you like push a couple buttons and it just shoots it out to everything automatically. That's cool. So we're on like all the different podcast things too. Apple,
Yuri, we gotta start
Apple
here.
Podcast.
We do these YouTubes.
Oh, the name of the podcast. The name of the podcast is Institute of Higher Earning.
Okay, nice.
Did I get that one
Yuri,
right?
we do these YouTubes, Yuri, and we don't push it to the podcast. We got to do is we just got to rip the audio, work on it. Shit, we got to start doing that. Is their last name actually Sicilian?
Theirs is, yeah.
That's the last
Not
name.
mine. Yeah.
Yeah. What was that last name originally? Because I know they're in the room.
No, they're over there. They're probably listening. Well, I don't know. Tony, Nick, you guys are watching. What was it? I think I don't know. I think they moved from Sicily or something. Yeah, they're talking shit. I have no idea.
Yeah.
Cash offer or finance deals only. That's fair. Are Subtos good wholesale deals? Yeah, they absolutely can be. Like they can be fantastic wholesale deals. We do ours in a really creative way to protect ourselves and protect the seller. But yeah, they're fantastic wholesale deals.
Any other questions you guys have that are watching? Any other questions that, hey, you got a question whether you're embarrassed to ask, you should be asking it, because TJ's done a lot of Subto stuff. He's got a kind of a much more realistic, much more down to earth and out of the courthouse thought process, far away from the courthouse, down to earth, away from the courthouse process on Subto that doesn't get you into trouble. So ask your questions, like don't whether you do that now on the stream or you just connect and add TJ as a friend on Facebook or something. Make sure you ask away, because there's probably going to be a wave of people as soon as some young buck government or some young buck representative that finds out about these practices and he makes it his big win, and he thinks that like, hey, I'm going to focus on that. This is my New York City mafia of my Rudy Giuliani. I'm gonna crack down on these Subto people for whatever they're doing. You're gonna see a wave of people getting in trouble, right? So you wanna protect your ass, and it sounds like TJ's got some ways to protect your ass. So hey, make sure you follow the YouTube channel, the Sicilian Brothers, and reach out to TJ, add him as a friend, and Yeah, this was cool, man. This was
No,
you're a freaking, you know a lot of shit, man. You start talking, I'm like, whoa. This I gotta pay attention. It keeps you in the seat though. So that's good, man.
well, and all of that, all that regulation does is maybe a little bit of barriers to entry of the industry probably wouldn't be that bad a thing. But extreme regulation, all it does, we've seen it with seller finance in Texas, we've seen it with lending laws after Dodd-Frank. All it does is increase prices for the retail consumer. It doesn't decrease. You're not going to make it so we're not making money. So is it good for the marketplace? A little regulation, a little bit of barriers to entry might be good for the marketplace, but it never goes down like that. It always goes down as extreme regulation that tries to shut down an industry for no reason whatsoever. And it provides less options for the sellers. It'll provide less options for retail buyers. And people that are good at business like us will still be here. It doesn't matter. So that's huge. There was actually a question I just saw. What was your biggest deal? My biggest deal was in the crash in 2009. I think we lost $2 million on one deal. So that was fun. That was a negative big deal. That was wrong direction. But hey, you know, if you haven't been in business, if you didn't sit through the crash, that's all right. You don't get to talk about it. And our biggest deal. So our biggest wholesale. Actually, I think that was Tony's before we joined up. I think his biggest wholesale was 150K last year on a single family residential one. Last year we had a handful that were 90 to 110. So we had a good handful of those last year. My biggest flip profit, to be honest, I'm not sure, because by the time we're done flipping a house, it's such a pain in the ass that I'm just happy to be rid of it. So it's never.
With all that shit that you spent on.
Yeah, I'm just happy that Home Depot stops calling me for payments of $1,000 every not even 6 hours. It's like freaking every 4 hours, like twice a day for $1,000.
Nice.
I have a last question, if you don't mind me asking. Any advice, and I know you didn't make your first deal for 16 years, but any advice you have for new people? Because we have like 40% of our users did less than one deal. That's what I checked recently. Maybe like around 30%. They do less than one deal a month. So any advice you can give to those people? And
Yeah, if you're looking for the first deal, do the next step. That's the most important part, because analysis paralysis. What lead list do I call? What do I do? What do I do? What do I do? All of it works. We bought 3 houses off of bandit signs last year. We don't even do bandit signs. We do bandit signs for sales, for dispo. But we put out a couple for acquisitions too, just to see what happens. And we bought 3 deals off of bandit signs last year. Does that work? Absolutely, it works. Does knocking on doors work? Absolutely works. So just do it. Do the work. Put in the work. There are no shortcuts in terms of bypassing the work aspect of it. The shortcut is, there's a reason we have a team that's incredibly knowledgeable and well-trained out there that does all of our acquisitions and all of our sales, because they make more money and they do better working here than they would if they were out on their own. They have the consistency of the lead flow and the deal flow and the transaction flow to get checks to keep on, coming, because we focus on the business. We don't focus on the specific deal. We make sure the specific deal gets done, but we're more concerned about how is the business operating than what happens if we lose a 30K assignment fee. It doesn't affect us at all. Now, obviously, it's painful. I have to drink less martinis. It sucks, but it's part of the business. If you're all by yourself and you lose a 30K assignment fee, it fucks up your whole 6 months. I know, because I have been there. So one shortcut, one hack, find someone like us to join and just join someone, because you'll be leaving some money on the table, I guess, if you think so, but you'll actually have a table to leave it on. You'll actually get a piece of the pie. The most expensive learning experience, and then I guess the next one is really education. Everything is free on the internet. Everything is free on YouTube. Everything is out there. There's cat videos, there's wholesale videos, there's Subto videos. If you go on different websites, there's different kinds of videos that you guys might want to watch. I don't know. I don't watch that kind of stuff myself. But where do you start? There's no roadmap on YouTube. So what do you do day one? The only thing you have to do, you don't know the end. Like, you never know the end until you get there. And then once you get there, that's not the end. There's something after that. I mean, hopefully, maybe. So there's no roadmap on YouTube. There's no roadmap on the free education. There's a roadmap if you join a good program or a good education thing. And ours is probably not the best for the brand new person, because we don't have time to teach you everything. We don't want to. But the roadmap of what do I do day one to get going, to get my first deal, and then what do I do? Ours is a little bit more, well, now you're doing a deal a month. Well, how do I do that? How do I take that to 2 deals a month? And we're going to say, Maybe you don't need 2 deals a month. Maybe you need to figure out how to do 1 deal a month even better by either buying better, decreasing your operating costs, or by selling better. So we don't like volume as the answer, because volume, all that volume does is increases complexity. It increases expenses and it increases complexity. We want to make sure that you're doing really well with what you got first, and then you add volume once you have everything else working well.
Oh, that's a great advice. Thank you.
That was strong. That was strong. We got make sure to put that into a short, because that was a very strong message. That's awesome. I even I was like moved by that. That's awesome. Thank you very much, TJ.
I go off on tangents. I'm sorry.
No, this was incredible. This was very good. That was like a coaching session in itself, man. So thank you very much for being on, and you make sure we share the files of the videos and stuff like that for the content. TJ, thank you very much. It's great meeting you, man. And hope to have you again. And shit, man, if you ever want to compete with someone else on a call for call basis and do one of our cage matches, we'd love to see that.
Nope.
I always wonder what people sound like on the phone directly in the
I haven't talked to us. No offense to one of my good buddies in DFW. I haven't talked to a seller for 2.5 years. And I like it that way. I talked to one buyer 9 months ago, and I almost fucked up the whole thing. So no.
That's how you know he runs a good business. That's how you know he runs a good business. He's not actually doing the freaking day-to-day crap.
Now, the acquisition team, they have more balls than I do. They're going to buy deeper because they have one job. They understand their job and the overall picture of how it fits in the company, how it fits in the objective. But they have one job, and it's to buy deals really, really well. And they're better at it than I am.
You've gone soft, being the boss. I got you.
I'm sure as fuck trying to.
I'm in the same boat. I couldn't close a screen door at this point. Yuri's doing all of that. I can't.
Now, if you want to get my wife on the phone for like chewing out buyer's agents or chewing out wholesalers that aren't performing or something when we're trying to JV, that might be interesting. That'll be entertaining.
Nice. Okay.
She's meaner than I am.
Yuri, we should do a dispo show too. Ooh, that's coming, because we got to.
That's a good idea.
We're launching a dispo tool, so that's coming up. We're gonna talk to buyers live, and that's gonna be some fun shenanigans. But anyway, gentlemen, it's been great to be in your company. Thank you very much.
Gene, thank you. Yuri, thank you so much.
Thank you, TJ, for joining. Guys, make sure you reach out to TJ, check whatever they have. I think any product that you guys do, any mastermind, it's probably huge value. So make sure you join. And again, it's nice to see you and meeting you, and looking forward to seeing you again. And for any other work, take care.
Thanks, guys. Take it easy.
All right. Cheers. Thank you, everybody.
And Gene, hold on. Are you
Yep.
leaving? We had a question about $30 leads. I mean, you can leave if you want. I don't know, but maybe you can add something. But I had a question on how to get the most affordable leads, and we just had a quick webinar on that. So I'm going to show you quickly on that. And just to make sure, so quick thing about us, you need to understand the difference between prospects and leads. So leads are people that already reached out to us and shared with us that they're interested to sell their house for cash. So if you guys first time, seeing ISP to lead, this is what we do. We find people that indicates to us that they would like to sell their house. So, and they are not listed. So just a quick overview of our platform is, you guys, whoever is still there and whoever is interested, is so this is our platform. If you still haven't registered yet, guys, make sure you go to app.isptolead.com. It's completely free registration, and you can take advantage of it right away. You can see what's there. It's free, no cards, nothing. So quick thing right away, we have our own CRM, and I have Gene chatting me. I'll mute him. So you can use our CRM, you can update contract status, you can connect your dollar if you want, you can add reminders, and you can see details and put notes. So you can also export files and arrange a CRM integration. So direct one, it's free for you. We pay for that. If you need any help, let me know. We have data integration specialists that can help you with that. Again, we have over 50 people, all the things we do in-house. We have our in-house development team that's constantly updating our platform, and we already invested over $1 million into our platform to make sure it works for you and you guys generate deals with us all the time. So we currently have over 22,000 registered users. And again, if you're still not registered with us, welcome to the club. Go and register, take advantage of it right away. Refunds, every lead that you can get on our platform, they're covered by 21 days refund policy. So what it means that if the lead is listed under contract, if you couldn't get a hold of the seller, they're not considering to move, sell, or relocate, they change their mind, or they want ridiculously high price that indicates that they're not really motivated, you can get a refund, get your money back, and get another lead. Just simple as that. So you can also reach out to our support team if needed. And also there is my direct phone number, 254-279-642, if you'd like to reach out to me with any questions if our support sales team or anyone is not providing you with enough support. Also, if you want other people to pay for your leads and get even more, you can use our affiliate program. So we share up to 11% of revenue and 20% from all subscriptions, and you can guys take advantage of that right away. You can withdraw money either to your account, bank account, or PayPal. You also can download our promo materials, and we will support you too with any page, any support that you need. So in terms of leads, right away, so there are two types of leads on our platform. First one is fixed price mode. This is where you request from us what kind of leads you want. Those are generated automatically for you based on your requirements, and we will generate them for you exclusively. You just tell us what kind of leads and where you want. You can select motivations, type of property, square footage, repairs, and every parameter, and we will just give you only those leads. So there is a minimum budget, $1,000. The budget, the higher you have the budget and no more counties you have, the better price you have. The typical price range is from $250 to $350, depending on those parameters. And the cool thing, whoever asked about $30 leads, so there is a marketplace. This is a separate flow of leads. Again, so this is people that indicated to us they would like to sell their houses for cash. How we generate those leads, you can check it here too. We have Google PPC, Discovery, X Discovery, SEO, Facebook, calling, texting, YouTube ads, TikTok ads. We have it all, and you can see it in advance how the lead was generated. It says here on the left. So all the leads that come, they get the status exclusive. If someone wants to buy the lead exclusively, you can buy exclusively, and it won't be available to anyone else on the market. So you just buy it here and it's gone. The bad thing for us and good for you that not all leads are purchased exclusively. So within 48 hours, they change the status to sale and multiple people can buy them, and you can just get them at $29 only by using the code 29club. So, and you can buy them just at $29. Any lead in the whole nation, right now it's over 1,800 leads, and they constantly come. So you can also sort and select any leads you want. You want only vacant leads? Boom, 400 of those. If you want owners that want to sell ASAP or in 1 month, boom, you can get 1,200 of those. And you can select them, you can look at them before you buy. Closing ratios are typically 1 out of 20. But I heard way better stories. People also get, like, out of first 10, they get 2 contracts. I heard such crazy stories too. I mean, somebody got, bonus from us, and they managed to get their first deal from their bonus money. So how do you call on them? If it's, I would do general opening. Hey, I'm so-and-so. My understanding that you like to sell your house for cash. Is that correct? Yes. Also, if there are multiple people already reached out, you can use a strategy of saying, hey, clients typically reach out to me when they have a hard time of getting a deal with other investors. Is that your case, or have already sold the house? Again, all those leads are refundable. You can take advantage of them. 21 days calendar refund policy. So again, if you want to guys learn more, we have live webinars all the time. So make sure you text my phone number, and I'll stop sharing. Yes, they are forever. So you, like, as long as you have the subscription for the coupon club. So that's so it will be $29, and also you get another coupons from time to time for exclusive leads too. So, but reach out to me at guys 254-279-6742. We're going to send you a link to our live webinar that's going to be tomorrow. So I'll go to the full scale overview. It will be live. I'll be there, and if you guys have any questions, you can ask them there too. So if you guys have any other questions, feel free to drop them now. Otherwise, we'll be finishing our live stream. We really thank TJ and his team, for sharing some of the knowledge they have. And I hope it was useful to you guys. And we will keep bringing more and more people. Support us with a like, subscribe to our YouTube channel. And we are running those live shows daily. And looking forward to seeing you next time. Either it will be a guest or maybe we'll be doing some calls. And if you're a subscriber and you join and you say, I want to make some calls, and we don't have anyone available, you'll be the one who will join and make some calls with us. So make sure you subscribe, join our lives, put notifications, don't miss any single live. And we're looking forward to seeing you more in the future. Take care all.